Hello and welcome back to the Birdcage. I'm Jack Kenna, joined alongside Emmett Swenside, and today we are going to be previewing the Kansas Jayhawks as they look to get a huge road win on the road against Baylor. Emmett, how are you doing this afternoon?
Doing good, man. I'm ready for this game. I'm excited for it. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. It's been a long day, but we have a big basketball game tomorrow or tonight.
Thanks.
So we gotta lock in after this. Let's talk about the Jayhawks a little bit. Kansas Jayhawks pick up a huge home win against UCF after dropping one that they should have won against Houston. I know you were at that game, Emmett. You were getting made fun of on the internet.
Biggest choke, bro.
It was not a very fun game. What were the vibes like in Allen Fieldhouse for that one?
Dude, it was insane. It was because, and the person I feel bad for the most is Rylan Griffin. That man was doing everything he could, and just every time he hit a three, like to extend that lead to like four, or like we went down two, he got it to like Kansas goes up one, and Allen Fieldhouse was booming. But that 5 second call with Zeke Mayo, especially after the first inbound was I think everyone was just looking at each other in awe, honestly. It was horrible. It was
Yeah,
not fun. It was a bad atmosphere. The opposite of what Allen Fieldhouse is known for sure.
yeah. It's kind of sad that it's been almost a week and we still can't get over that Houston game. It was a thriller on Tuesday at Allen Fieldhouse against UCF.
Yeah,
Keyshawn
that was a
Hall
little closer than
his
I thought it'd be.
second best performance of the year at Allen Fieldhouse, and UCF almost got it done on the road. This is going to be a test because this Baylor team hasn't been necessarily great all season. This is a Baylor team that's 13-7, but their worst loss, Emmett, is at TCU. Or it's at home against TCU. Like, this is a team that doesn't lose a whole bunch of bad games. They lost to UConn, Gonzaga, Iowa State. So they're a solid team.
Yeah, and they're heating up at the right time. BJ Edgecombe is finally starting to figure stuff out. He had a
Mhm.
little rough start, but he's figuring out around the right time. So it'll be interesting, especially going to their place. That's always a test in any college basketball game.
Yeah. They just are coming off of a loss against the future home of AJ DeBansta, BYU. Is that how you say his last name? AJ
Yeah,
DeBansta?
The Bansa
DeBan?
or something like that.
Whatever. We'll figure it out next year when he's on national television every single game. But this is going to be a good, fun test for the Kansas Jayhawks because, like you said, this is a Baylor team that has weapons and they have people who can beat you if you don't take them very seriously.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Well, it's just like luckily Kansas is figuring out this year more than last year, but because last year I would already scratch this one off as a loss the way they were playing on the road. But that's
Mhm.
what makes it interesting. It's like pick up a comeback win on TCU. They win an ugly one in Cincinnati. I think, especially in those two games, last year's team would have froze up 100%.
Yeah, I agree. I think
So
this is a very good, or I feel like this is a great opportunity for the Kansas Jayhawks to get right back on track after
100%.
that sad Houston loss. The fact that we're still talking about it just makes it,
Still,
or
I still see posts of that final when it was 73-69. I still see posts about that those 6 points in 18 seconds.
it's
And
upsetting because that game was so winnable and we just let it slip through our hands.
I know, and it would have been such a big win. And what makes it crazy too is I saw a stat the other day. Caleb Love's three that he hit to send it to overtime with Iowa State. They had a higher chance of sending that game to overtime than Houston did winning that game in the set point of 18 seconds left, 79-63. They had a 0.4% chance to win that game.
That's
And they did
insane.
it. And they did it.
That is insane work. This is the start, or I guess Tuesday was the start of an insane stretch for the Kansas Jayhawks coming up. They have Baylor on Saturday, they have Iowa State at home on Monday, and then they travel to K-State. Excuse me. This is just It's a gauntlet. The Big 12 is a gauntlet, and if the Kansas Jayhawks want to win a game or want to even contend in the conference any longer this year, this is a must-win game for them.
100%. Yeah, I think like everything, especially after, yeah, we keep talking about that Houston loss definitely shook some people. So
Mhm.
they need a bounce back for sure, especially going into, and I was just talking to my friend too, and he said it perfectly. The Jayhawks right now, like they just need, and it goes for everything, but they just need to play it game by game. Like, don't think about the Iowa State game because that game is obviously huge. Like they got to take care of business tomorrow in Waco
They-
before they go to
Let's
before they host Iowa State.
let's talk about this Baylor team a little bit because they have a lot of interesting faces. Their leading scorer right now is Norchad Omier, their starting center, who is transfers over from Miami. He is one of the better transfers in the entire transfer portal. Ends up at Baylor. Obviously, it's been a little bit of a shaky start to the season for the Baylor Bears, but like I mentioned, they don't have any bad losses. Norchad Omier is a big guy, averages 15 points, a block, a steal, 2 assists, 10 boards. He averages a double double. This is going to be a great test for Hunter Dickinson and Flory Benunga.
And I'd love to see that against Flory, who actually brings more physicality to the defensive side than Hunter does. So that would be a great. I'd love to see because I'm sure Hunter will take him. I'd love to see Flory on him though.
And then we already touched on him. VJ Edgecombe is just one of the best freshmen in the country, and he will surely be a top or a first round pick. He
100%.
is extremely athletic. He is about as quick as can be. He can jump out of the gym and he can make plays happen.
Freaky athletic.
He is from the Bahamas. He actually played this summer with the Bahamas national team and was running with NBA dudes and competing with NBA dudes. Like that just shows how great of a talent he can be when he's hot.
Oh yeah. And then they got that. They're just loaded with freshmen. They got that Robert Wright too, who's starting to heat up.
Yeah. Robert Wright, he's averaging 13 himself. So it's like between VJ Edgecombe and Robert Wright the third, that's 28 points between them. The
Yeah.
Kansas Jayhawks need to hold them under. They both can't score over 28.
It'll be a long night for the Jayhawks if that's the case.
And then when you look down this roster, Jeremy Roach, the Duke transfer, who's been
When
in
you
and
said
out of the
that, I
lineup this
completely
year.
forgot he went there.
Exactly, but that's how good this Baylor team can be. Like on paper, this is one of the best teams in the Big 12.
Yeah.
Picked Baylor to finish second in the conference preseason, looking at who they brought in and the
You did,
talent
you
that they
said?
were bringing in, and it hasn't panned out to be something like that yet. But this team still has all the talent in the world,
Mm-hmm. No doubt.
and they're coached by Scott Drew, who at the end of
Well,
the
yeah, and
day
that's they're,
is
they're
just one of
yeah,
the best coaches in college basketball.
yeah. They have a lot of potential.
Mhm. This is a good this is a good Baylor team. This is going to be a good road test for the Kansas Jayhawks. I am a little suspect on how they're going to handle the KJ Adams minutes.
Yeah,
What do you think? I don't think KJ goes back to starting. I think Flory has earned a spot in the starting lineup. But how many minutes do you think KJ is going to get? What do you think he's going to be able to do?
I mean,
I'm interested to hear what you
Bill
think.
Self loves the guy. I think Flory and Hunter in the back or in the backcourt is great because they work really well together. But
Hmm.
KJ's gonna get his flowers for himself. Self loves him. I mean, after the UCF game, it was obviously KJ's first game back. Self sits down. He's like, "Man, what about KJ? Like, let's talk about KJ." Which, yeah, it's good because he brings a lot of energy, a lot of spark. I had talks with my friends. I think that Houston out game is differently if he's in that game with the energy he brings and his
Yeah.
defensive side. I think he would have been a great matchup for Juwan Roberts compared to Hunter Dickinson. And even when Flory took him, he stopped Juwan for a couple possessions.
Yeah, I just think Juwan Roberts is
But he's
it's
also,
I think Juwan Roberts is just Juwan Roberts.
yeah, I mean,
He's one of the best bigs in the country, let alone
yeah,
the conference. But that's funny because every game that I've had the past few, it's been, oh, now Hunter Dickinson has another test. Like, there's really no night off for Hunter Dickinson in the Big 12.
No,
You go to
no.
Juwan Roberts, and then it's Norchad Omier, and then you have to go up to Iowa State and handle Iowa State, and then it's go to K State, and you got to match up against Coleman Hawkins. Like,
Yeah, there's no night
every
off.
every game is tough. The freshman center for UCF, he's good. His name, I don't know his name. His number is like 52 or something along those lines. But that was a test for Hunter Dickinson. Like there are no off days for
And
the
those are
bigs in the
good.
Big 12.
Yeah, there are no off nights for him, but at the same time, I think that's his weakest point is his defense. So it's going to be a test for him every night, in my opinion. But that's no discredit to the players he goes against because these bigs are really good.
I think it's going to be a very exciting game. It's a 3 p.m. tip-off, so it gives us something to watch in the afternoon.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm anticipating Kansas coming out on top. Let's look at some Ken Palm stuff first. The Kansas Jayhawks are the number ninth team on Ken Palm. What do you think their offensive rating is, Emmett?
I know it's not good. I know it's like close. It's way down there.
Are you a Ken Palm user by
I
chance?
am a Ken Palm user. I checked it. I was checking it consistently for the past like last week, going into that Houston game. I was looking at it because Houston had like the number one defense in the country according to Ken Palm, and we had number four or
Yeah.
Kansas had number four.
Hmm.
And then after that Houston game, I wanted to check to see where KU was after that Houston loss, but I didn't get the chance to.
Alrighty. Man, it's my nap time. I'm yawning already. Well, the Kansas Jayhawks have the 29th ranked offense in the country, and they're ninth, according to Ken Palm. That's because their defense is fifth. Their defense just carries them
It's
this year.
phenomenal. It's
And that and
phenomenal.
that and that's the truth.
They just have some dogs. Flory's great on defense. Shaquille Moore is great on defense. Um, Dewan Harris is great on defense. They've they've got it covered.
Our guard defenders have been extremely not underwhelming. That's literally the wrong word. They've been helpful this year. That's
Yeah,
pretty much what I'm trying to get at.
yeah.
Is they have been essential to what we have been able to accomplish so far this year. Shaquille Moore being introduced into the starting lineup, and then you have Dewan Harris, who won Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year 2 years ago. So it's a bunch of savvy veterans who know how to guard the ball, and that's helpful.
It's super helpful all the time.
And then when you have Flory Badunga in the starting lineup, he's a rim protector. And if he doesn't go to the NBA this year,
He's just constantly going like this.
yeah, he keeps on. He every game he's getting better and better.
I really hope he stays because I hope he realizes what he'll have alongside him next year.
Yeah.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
Mhm.
But yeah, he should definitely be getting
Yeah.
talked about because what he's doing is he's been phenomenal for KU.
Yeah. He just provides so much. And Kansas's defense as a team is very impressive. They play team defense, which is something almost unheard of in college basketball. You'll hear of great individual defenders, but just teams just guarding the ball. Like Houston comes to mind, Iowa State comes to mind. I think
Mhm.
Nebraska has a really good defensive team. Like
Yeah,
they as a team and as a unit, they can just guard. But other than that, there's a lot of teams that just don't necessarily come to mind. I think St. John's is a good defensive team, but this
they've been
Kansas
having a
team's
really
right
good
up
year.
with them. That's how good this team is. And
Yeah,
it's going to be a test. Baylor's 28th, according to Ken Palm. However, Emmett, their strong suit is on the offensive side of the ball, where they're 10th in the country. So,
and then we touched on it. They got some guys, so this is a great matchup to see. One of the
yeah,
best offenses against one of the best defenses, and it's at Baylor. So
it's really pick your poison. Like,
yeah, oh
what's
yeah.
going to happen in this game? Is it going to be a Kansas defensive masterclass, or is Baylor's offense just going to propose too many problems for Kansas?
I don't think it can. It's gonna be a great game. Yeah, I think it can go either way, but it's just obviously having one of the best offenses in the country is great. But I just think and we touched on it that Kansas's team defense is just it's really good.
Yeah,
And they like they went into now Baylor is better than Cincinnati, but they went into Cincinnati and held them to what 54 at home.
something like that. It was an
Or
impressively
and then
low
you could look
number
at
on
Iowa
the
State
road.
how they shot the lights out of it, which
Yep.
is Baylor. Baylor has guys that can go. So it really is, yeah, choose what you want.
The one problem about traveling to Waco is Kansas hasn't won a conference game here for, I'm pretty sure, 5 years.
As
I think the last time Kansas got a win in Waco was 2019,
That's right.
2020.
Because even that like 2022 team lost in
Yeah.
Wake.
Yeah. It's just it's an impressively tough place to play. They have very passionate fans, and Scott Drew's done such a great job there at Baylor.
Hmm.
But they haven't won there since 2020. Does that
It's crazy.
change tomorrow, Emmett?
There's a chance, but that's a crazy stat. Um,
It is a crazy
I
stat.
think there's definitely a chance, but they're gonna get tested. They're
Mm.
gonna have to push through. They're gonna need to they're gonna need to hit shots because that's their struggle. They'll play defense in any arena in the country. They're
Yeah.
gonna give you the best defense, but for some reason at Allen Fieldhouse, yeah, they're gonna Zeke Bell's gonna hit some threes, but it's it doesn't always translate to
Yeah.
the
Can
away
he
game.
do it on the road?
That's what needs to be proven.
That's the question. Emmett, what do you think the record between Kansas and Baylor are in their last five head-to-head matchups?
Their last five, I'd say it's got to be like 2-3 or 3-2, something like that.
In their last 10 matchups.
Oh, last 10. You said okay.
Did I say five?
Yeah, you said five, so I was like, I don't
Yeah.
I does Kansas have it? No, because they haven't. It's got to be. It's split then, right? 5-5. Because they
It's
haven't won
split
two.
5-5.
Yeah, trick question, bro. That's not cool.
The road team rarely wins
Yeah,
these kind of games. And I'm hoping the Kansas Jayhawks can figure something out and get a huge win in Waco. Before we get into predictions, what does Kansas need to do to win this game tomorrow?
it literally. Yeah, we touched. It literally starts with the offense because they're gonna give it their all on defense. I don't know. I actually haven't looked. I meant to look that up. Do we know if DeJuan's back tomorrow? He's out
I,
with like a
I would
foot
assume
injury
he
in
is.
practice.
I would
I
assume
feel
the
like
only reason why he didn't play UCF is because he was just resting it.
yeah to get rid. Yeah. So, but Zeke needs to find enough. It's offense. Guys just need to make the right play, shoot the shots they practice. Not a diss to well, kind of a diss. AJ Storr needs to kind of figure out what his groove is because you see it in TCU. He gives them a really good run. That was probably one of his best games of the season. But
Mhm.
then, like the Houston game, he was just out there shooting whatever he wanted. It wasn't a good shot selection. So I'd say shot selection. Shot
Yeah.
selection is where it starts for them tomorrow.
Yeah, I think it's just making sure you can keep some of Baylor's role guys under control. I mean, I think it's silly calling VJ Edgecombe a role guy,
Yeah, because
but
he's obviously
between Roberts and VJ Edgecombe and everyone else that they have on this team, or Robert Wright, excuse me, between Wright, Edgecombe, Roach, Nunn, Langston Love, like those guys have to be kept under control. Because if two of those guys, three of those, four of those
I
guys
was
are
gonna
touching
say
double
any
figures,
two of those guys could just explode out for 10 at least.
yeah,
Like
and if those guys are touching high double figures, this game could get out of control, regardless of how good your defense is.
yeah,
I also think it's going to be impressive, or I think Kansas is going to need to make sure that they can stay out of foul trouble
that's been big. That's been a big problem too.
because this is a Kansas team that doesn't necessarily get to the free throw line a whole bunch, and they're not
They're,
even
they're the
a heavy
dead last in the
fouling
country or
team.
something like that.
Yeah, they might be dead last in the country.
There was something like
I
that.
because I think they only take like 10 shots a game,
Yeah, it's not a
10,
lot.
12 shots a game. I'd be able to
Mm-mm.
find it. But this is a team that doesn't shoot very many free throws,
Mm-mm.
which is fine. But vice versa, you can't be fouling. And this needs to be a game where Hunter Dickinson and Flory stay on the court.
Yeah.
because
No,
we don't
and they
necessarily
can't
know
be
how
trading.
healthy
They can't
KJ
both pick
is.
up two quick fouls like they've done
Yeah.
before.
We don't know how healthy KJ Adams is quite yet. He was good enough to play against UCF, so I'm sure Bill Self would throw him out there.
Oh
And
yeah,
Dewan's status is still looming. I did look it up while you were talking. And so it's like if we go into the game, Dewan plays, but he's not necessarily healthy. This game
that
could
could
get a
get
little
interesting.
interesting.
It'll get interesting 100% because he's one of those. He's one of those guys that will take one of their top guys. So, and if
Yeah.
they go off on him, then Shaquille Moore needs to step it up, or Flory, or Dickinson, whoever's guarding their bigs. And yeah, it could get out of, it could it'll get interesting if that's the case.
They also need production from A. Rylan Griffin or B. AJ Store or Diggy Coy even. They
Yeah,
need
because
one of those
Biggie give you
three.
it's them. They I feel like they like trade off. Like
Yeah.
Houston, it was
Rylan.
Rylan. UCF, Diggy gave a good spark.
And before that, TCU, AJ
It was
had
AJ. Yeah,
12 or 14. And this is one of those games where between the three of them, we need one of them to play well again. It would be helpful if we could get all three of them playing well, but that's just not been the case all season. So I think we need to get one of those guys playing well to get, or playing well. We need to control what we can control on the defensive side of the ball and not let the role players get going.
yeah,
Because I think Baylor has dudes who can beat us, but they don't have a dude who can necessarily beat us 1-on-5. So
yeah,
let's control what we can control defensively and make sure some of those role guys don't don't cause some havoc.
yeah. And have a good shot selection. Just and it could easily go their way.
Yeah. What's your score prediction for the game against B or
I know when you said
Baylor?
you were going in predictions early, that was in the back of my head. I was trying to think. I want to say I think it'll be 60s or 70s. I think it could be. I think Kansas could win it. I'm gonna say, or do I go Baylor? Dude, that stat is crazy. They haven't won in Waco in 5 years. No, I'm gonna say Kansas wins it 75-71.
Okay. 75
That might be
71
a
victory
crazy
for
score,
Kansas.
but
Yeah, I'm going to go in the 60s. I'm going to go 65-68 Kansas 3-point win on the road. That is all that I have today, Emmett. We're about halfway through the college basketball season. Who did you have winning the tournament preseason, and who do you have now?
so I actually just saw who is that? Oh, I can't remember who I follow. He just posted the most recent locks, and Auburn's like plus or 150 or something. Like Kansas is plus 700 alongside Kentucky plus 700.
There you go.
Um, at the beginning of the season, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really think about it, but um, now I think it's tough. I think because there's like three teams I think it could be. I think Auburn is really good. Duke is there. I think if Bama figures out whatever's going on with them and Mark Sears, they
Yeah,
could make a
Mark
run.
Shear's has been struggling.
Yeah, didn't play the entire second half, but they win. It's a little
I
interesting.
heard that he was crying on the bench.
His mom even tweeted. His mom made an Instagram post about the game.
That's
She
insane.
was like, she was like obviously I hate to not see my kid out there, but like I trust Nate Oates and what he's doing. Everything happens. Like we're just gonna keep grinding, which cool. But this man is what, 21? He could probably say
Yeah,
what he wants.
23 years old.
Yeah, I was gonna say
This
21.
is like you remember the LSU stuff a few year or last year about like Angel Reese not playing because she had
Oh
like bad
man.
grades or something.
Yeah, everyone made random assumptions, but yeah, it was like GPA stuff or whatever.
That's kind of what I think is going on with Alabama. It's just chaos is what it is.
But they are really loaded. They
Yeah,
are really loaded.
they have the talent, that's for sure.
But it's just so tough. I think it'd be like an Auburn or a Duke that could go.
Yeah,
Who's
I
your
have Duke. If
who's
we
your
have, I've had Duke preseason, and
yeah.
I was swaying a little bit towards Auburn. But at the end
Hmm.
of the day, I think if we could get Auburn and Duke in the Final Four, that's the best case scenario because they have the two best players on their team.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's just my philosophy. Let's get the best players in there. Let's have a good tournament. I feel like the
That would
past
be
few
such a
years it's been
fun
pretty
game to see.
underwhelming.
A rematch too. That'd be such a fun game to see as a
Yeah.
national championship.
It's been pretty underwhelming the past few years too. I mean, the year UConn won their first, it was UConn, San Diego State,
Miami and
Miami,
Florida Atlantic.
and Florida
Yeah,
Atlantic in the
that
Final
was
Four.
a tournament for sure.
I mean, I know it. You love to see the upsets, but I'm sorry, I'm not an upset guy in March Madness. I want to see the best teams make it. You can't
That's
tell me
that's valid.
Miami and Florida Atlantic were some of the best teams in the country. And I
No.
know the hand check sent San Diego State over Creighton to the Final Four, but it's just like I think I would have much rather had that year a UConn, a Kansas, a
Yeah.
Purdue, something like that. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't like
100%.
talking
I
about
get
that
that.
price tag very
Upsets can
much.
be fun. Like it's I totally get what you're saying because especially being like a Timberwolves guy or like watching them, I love watching Rob Dillingham play basketball. So that I want to see him go far in the tournament, yeah. But to see um that upset last year, with Oakland, I was completely blanking for a second. With Oakland and Jack Golke or whatever, that was I mean that was insane.
Yeah, the games individually are super exciting, but those Cinderella teams I feel like just don't have enough to get past the round of 16.
Like
I know
you said,
Princeton beat Arizona a few years ago, and then they made
yeah,
the
that was
Sweet
insane.
16, which was insane. But they just
Mhm.
didn't have enough power and stuff to get past Creighton.
I mean, you just think
So
about
you're
that
just
Oakland
like,
team going up against UConn.
yeah,
That would be such
been a
a
massacre.
terrible national. You wait all year for March because March Madness is like the best thing ever,
Yeah,
especially in that trip. So you're telling me you wait all season and all tournament for Oakland to play UConn?
I don't know.
UConn would wipe the floor with them.
Like this year, I think like the best or my final four would have to be, I think Auburn's that good. I think Auburn and Duke make it.
Mm.
I think
You including Ohio
Marquette
State,
makes it.
Marquette, right? You think even with I feel like they kind of crumble in March.
Yeah, but I feel like Cam Jones is too good not to do something special. And that team, it's a well put together team by Shaka Smart. Cam
Oh yeah.
Jones, Stevie Mitchell. They have Ben
Mhm.
Gold, who I'm not necessarily super high on, but he can
Yeah.
hit shots. They have David Joplin. They have a good team at Marquette. I don't think
Mhm.
it's good enough to beat an Auburn or a Duke, but I think they can get there. And then
Yeah.
I always think another team is an Iowa State or a
I was
Houston
gonna
could
say you
easily
got
make
Baylor.
it. Like
Mhm.
those teams are so good.
Right, bro.
It's a coin flip between those two.
You got me tired, bro.
I know. I'm exhausted and we have a game in 2 hours. Well, all righty, Emmett.
All right.
I will catch you later. I appreciate you taking the time to come talk to us.
Yeah, of course, always.
The Kansas Jayhawks take on Baylor tomorrow afternoon at 3 p.m. on the road. You will hear back from me and Emmett after the game to recap the Kansas Jayhawks. We'll see you guys later.
All
Peace.
right.